Courtroom as sacred battlefield. How standing up legally can be a spiritual act. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Parental Abuse and Alienation in Spiritual Warfare series, where we expose the hidden war against the soul and teach you how to rise, speak, and reclaim your divine authority. Today's episode is for every survivor who's ever stood at the edge of a courtroom and wondered if they were strong enough to walk in. For every truth teller who was told to be quiet not just by their family, but by their culture, their lawyer, or even their own trauma response. For every scapegoat who became the evidence. And for every chosen one who was never meant to blend in, but to take the stand. This is episode 8, Courtroom as Sacred Battlefield, How Standing Up Legally Can Be a Spiritual Act. Let's start by addressing the truth no one wants to say out loud. The legal system is not built for trauma survivors. It's slow. It's cold. It favors evidence over intuition, image over energy, and procedure over protection. It often rewards the calm, calculated manipulator and punishes the emotional truth teller. That's reality. But that's not the whole story. Because the courtroom, as flawed and brutal as it can be, is also one of the last places on earth where silence is legally breakable, where records are kept, where lies are documented, where false narratives can be challenged, where generational abuse is no longer a secret, it's testimony. And for many survivors of parental abuse and alienation, it's the only public space left to declare, "This happened to me, and I will not carry the silence anymore." Let's reframe the courtroom. Not as a bureaucratic process, not as a trauma trigger, but as a sacred battlefield. Because in spiritual warfare, truth is the weapon. And where better to wield that weapon than the one place your abuser thought you'd never show up? Let's be clear. Going to court is not about revenge. It's about record. It's about calling the system to witness. It's about disrupting the generational stronghold that says, what happens in the family stays in the family. It's about interrupting the cycle. It's about legacy. And if the next generation never sees a survivor stand up and speak in public, they will internalize silence as safety. And silence is not safety, it's spiritual captivity. Standing up legally is an act of liberation, not litigation. So, let's walk through what this means on every level, emotionally, spiritually, and practically. First, the emotional resistance to legal action is real. Most survivors were groomed to believe that bringing in outsiders is betrayal, that telling the truth is disloyal, that involving the courts makes things worse, that family matters should stay private. These messages were not just cultural, they were programmed into your nervous system. As a child, you were taught that keeping the secret kept you safe. You learned to stay quiet to avoid backlash. You were conditioned to self-abandon to keep the peace. So when you even think about filing a claim, pressing charges, testifying, or documenting the truth in court, your body screams, danger. But that isn't your higher self speaking. That's your trauma bond talking. That's the old survival program trying to keep you in the role. Here's the truth. You don't owe your silence to anyone. Not to your abuser, not to your family, not to the system, not even to your own fear. You get to choose a new path, one that doesn't bow to their comfort. One that says, I am not your secret keeper. I am not your shame sponge. I am not your scapegoat. You are the witness now. And in spiritual terms, that's more than just storytelling, it's testimony. Sacred, judicial, binding, not just in a courtroom, but in the unseen realms. When you speak truth before men, you are speaking truth before heaven. You are declaring a correction to the records. You are undoing the spell of silence that has kept your bloodline in bondage for generations. Now let's talk about the courtroom as altar. That may sound radical, but it's not. Every sacred tradition on earth teaches the testimony matters. That oaths matter. That naming truth in public matters. The courtroom isn't just a building. It's a ritual space. What is testimony if not ritual? What is a witness if not a priest of reality? What is evidence if not a sacrament of memory? You are not just filing paperwork. You are summoning reality into a system designed to deny it. So don't be fooled by the cold walls or robotic procedures. You are doing spiritual work. Your presence alone is warfare. Because you are walking into the very place your abuser hoped you'd never enter the record. Let's get even deeper. Most abusers weaponize the idea that court is too complicated, too expensive, too risky, or too humiliating. But those are tactics of spiritual intimidation. Yes, the system is flawed, but flaws don't mean futility. You may not win the case on paper, but you win the moment you stop hiding. You win the second you decide their control doesn't own your voice anymore. The courtroom is the one place where stories become records. And let's talk about records. In spiritual warfare, the record is everything. Your abuser's greatest fear is not jail, it's exposure. Documentation, a paper trail, a transcript that outlives the performance. When you testify, even if no one claps, even if no one comforts you, even if the ruling goes the wrong way, the record exists. And that matters more than you think. Because spiritual realms respond to legal records. When you declare truth in court, you are breaking contracts not just physical, but energetic. You are unbinding yourself from the soul contracts of silence, submission, and inherited shame. You are saying to the universe, let it be known. I did not agree to this. I am not the one who caused the harm. I refuse to carry guilt that is not mine. Let's talk about what this means generationally. In many bloodlines, abuse is a pattern, passed down, covered up, normalized, hidden in religion, buried under respectability. The child who sues, the daughter who testifies, the son who files for emancipation, the sibling who calls out abuse during a custody battle, these are not troublemakers. They are prophets, system disruptors, bloodline breakers. When you go to court, you're not just fighting for your story. You're fighting for the next child who might have been next. You're fighting for your future self, the one who finally sleeps at night because they stopped negotiating with silence. You're fighting for divine order where truth is sacred again. And yes, the system may fail you. Many times it will. But it won't erase what you did. The paperwork still exists. The testimony is still recorded. The energy still shifted. The ancestors still saw it. And the chain is still broken. Let's talk logistics. Going to court requires preparation, spiritually and practically. Here's what I tell every survivor before they walk into legal territory. Ground in your truth, not your trauma. Testify from clarity, not emotional reaction. The more healed you are, the sharper your words become. Your story doesn't need decoration. It needs precision. Know your why. You are not here to be validated. You are here to document, to disrupt, to speak. Expect spiritual backlash. The moment you decide to break silence, energy starts to shift. You may feel anxious, fatigued, or attacked. That's not weakness. It's proof you're disrupting the stronghold. Protect yourself accordingly. Cleanse. Pray. Anchor. Stay grounded. Work with aligned counsel. If possible, find trauma-informed lawyers or advocates who understand emotional abuse and parental alienation. Not every attorney is spiritually equipped for this kind of warfare. Choose wisely. Document everything. Emails, texts, timelines, dates, witnesses. Evidence matters in legal realms and spiritual ones. You're not just protecting your case, you're building a spiritual archive. Expect character assassination. Abusers will lie, they will flip the narrative. Let them. Your job is to stay in your center. Don't fight dirty. Fight real. Don't chase the outcome. Your goal is not always to win the case, it's to break the silence. Sometimes just standing up is the win. Let's close with this. The courtroom is not a place of defeat. It is a threshold. Not all battles are fought in temples. Some are fought in courtrooms. And when you walk into that room, you're not alone. You are carrying every silenced ancestor, every wounded child, every unheard survivor. You are the voice they never had. You are the record they never got. You are the justice they never lived to see. You may feel afraid, but fear is not failure. Fear is a sign that you're standing where truth hasn't yet lived, and you're about to plant it. So here's your final call to action. If you are facing legal action, reframe it. This is not punishment. This is reclamation. Prepare spiritually. Cleanse, pray, anchor, and armor up. Speak from your healed self, not your wounded self. Understand that the courtroom isn't just about law, it's about legacy. And remember, even if the ruling doesn't go in your favor, the truth still stands. You are not a victim in court. You are a voice. You are a witness. You are the sword. You are the prophecy. You are the record. Let the system shake. Let the silence shatter. Let the revolution continue because the courtroom is holy ground when the truth walks in. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.